Lisa Cook sues Trump over move to oust her from Fed board. We saw it coming. Her lawyer, Abby Lowell, told us 2 days ago that this lawsuit would be on the way, and now it is reality. Suing the president over his attempt to fire her for alleged mortgage fraud, challenging his claim that she may have lied on the mortgage application. And of course, in a fraud case, you have to prove that it was intentional. Realizing we're talking about documents here, mortgage applications. In this case, according to what we understand from the White House, she wrote that in both cases she would be a full-time resident. Part of this case, the defense, will zero in on the idea that this may have simply been a clerical error. And this is where we start with Tyler Kendall, Bloomberg Washington correspondent, has the latest on all of this, including the response, the reaction from the White House. She's on the North Lawn. Tyler, what do we know?
Yeah, hey, Joe. Well, we really have gotten no signs from this White House that they are going to let up on their pressure campaign against the central bank and now Fed Governor Lisa Cook. We should say that we had breaking news in the last hour that a 10 a.m. hearing has been set for tomorrow inside a federal courthouse here in Washington, where a judge is going to hear Cook's request for what's known as a temporary restraining order. This is going to decide whether or not she's able to retain her seat, perhaps even have a vote in that September FOMC meeting while the broader case about the firing plays out in court. Of course, that issue here has to do with what we have been talking about, this issue of cause. The White House today, in a statement through the White House press secretary, says that the White House has found sufficient cause to fire Cook and that this is well within President Trump's right, his domain, to do so. However, the idea of cause, it's not explicitly defined. This is outlined in Section 10 of the Federal Reserve Act of 1913 that says he has to prove this cause. But historically, it's been meant to mean malfeasance, neglect of ignoring duties while on the job. But at this point, these are just allegations. No formal charges have been brought. I was pretty struck during your conversation with White House trade advisor Peter Navarro yesterday, who gave us a little bit of insight into how the White House might be playing this down the road, saying that it doesn't matter that these allegations have to do with her private conduct, nothing to do with her job at the Federal Reserve. Now, in that filing, we did hear from Cook's attorney, and we got perhaps an outline of some of the arguments to come. She didn't explicitly deny the allegations, but did give us a little bit of a preview that perhaps when it comes to the issue with these applications, that they were mislabeled unintentionally. And that is really one of the key things here that the court is going to have to decide, Joe.
Well, that's really important stuff. And we do have an emergency hearing, as Tyler mentioned, set for tomorrow morning. So, Tyler, we're going to do this all over again tomorrow, it looks like. And we do appreciate the very latest from the White House. Bloomberg's Michael McKee has also been all over this, and he joins us from World Headquarters in New York. Of course, the man who brings you coverage of the Federal Reserve and is in the room with Jay Powell for the news conferences. Michael, you've been learning a bit more about Lisa Cook. She's been working from home. Do we have any idea about how this will play out tomorrow in this emergency hearing?
We don't, although she does not have to attend the hearing. Her lawyers will be there for her. It's not a hearing before a jury or anything like that. It's arguments made by the lawyers, which will be backed up in writing by their pleadings for the judge to make a decision. However, we have been reading the request. I have been reading the request for this temporary restraining order that would keep her in place until all this moves through the court. And we get the closest thing we have had to a defense from her on the mortgage allegations. The lawyers say, consequently, neither the type of offense the president cited nor the threadbare evidence against Governor Cook would constitute cause for removal, even if the president's allegations were true, which they are not. So it does appear that Cook is pleading innocent in a way to this, that she did not do anything wrong. And as Tyler was saying, there are some hints as to what might have happened, but that probably is a story for another day. We'll get more information on that as it develops.
Okay. What are the odds that she's actually going to take part in next month's meeting, Mike?
It's a little hard to say at this point. If this follows the pattern that we saw in the Wilcox case, Gwen Wilcox from the National Labor Relations Board, they will go to the district court, and given the pleadings that they've had so far that I have seen, it does appear that she will probably get that temporary restraining order from the district court, which means that immediately the Trump administration goes to the U.S. Court of Appeals to try to get that overturned. And in Wilcox's case, it was overturned. But how fast all that happens isn't clear. We're going to get the TRO hearing tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. We could see a decision by the judge within the day. Then you have the weekend, and at that point, we wait for the appeals to hit the appeals court, and then the appeals court will have to schedule a hearing. So the closer we get to September 17th, the more likelihood she might actually get to stay there if tomorrow the judge decides she can remain.